So, one thing that I've noticed here on my time on the internet is a lot of people like to play zero-sum games. A lot of people love zero-sum games. And honestly, I think zero-sum games are pretty foolish. I also believe that anyone who sells you any idea to any extreme is trying to manipulate you. I genuinely think that. I genuinely think anyone playing a zero-sum game with you is trying to manipulate you. Because if there's always one side to the extreme, there's always some other area that you're not looking at. It doesn't matter which way the pendulum swings. My dad often always says, man, the key to living life is balance. It's when the pendulum stops right in the middle. And today, let us try to reach that equilibrium, that balance. And also, I must say, a broken clock is right, at least twice a day. Take us away.
America's favorite abstinence preacher, Bristol Palin, is accidentally pregnant for a second time. And that's pretty much abstinence-only education in a nutshell.
And there we go. 3 seconds in. I think like 10 seconds in. Boom, we hit the ground running in that zero-sum game I am talking about. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Keep going.
Hi everyone, welcome back to season 3 of Braless. I miss y'all so much. I hope you're having a great summer. I thought we'd kick things off with a topic that's near and dear to my heart, sex. I'm a simple lady, okay? For those of you not in the know, there's a robust army of forces in America that are working hard to promote biased information about sexuality and unplanned pregnancy.
It turns out there's actually 2 forces, each on the different side of the pendulum. And like I said, our job here is to try to get some balance back into our lives.
This army is assembled of politicians and legislators, teachers and doctors, religious leaders, celebrities, and a wide network of foundations and nonprofits. One of these forces is the Candies Foundation. Candies, it just sounds so sweet, right? But it's not. They've produced a slew of condescending ads that say things like, you think being in school sucks? A baby sucks a whole lot more.
Yeah, I don't really know if condescending is the word to use there. That is pretty reasonable. Having a child while you're in school does suck pretty badly. And babies suck literally. So.
And you were supposed to be changing the world, not changing diapers.
So with those 2 ads, we can very clearly tell that these people are trying to avoid teenage pregnancy or pregnancy in young ladies, which is pretty reasonable considering the fact that sometimes a lot of these children grow up in these type of areas and environments, don't do too well in life. Every now and again you might get a basketball player, but not a lot of these kids really grow up to be aspiring individuals. Also, it is still a lot of stress on that mother, even though she'll probably age a lot better since she got pregnant at a younger age.
They may as well say, hey teens of America, just keep your legs closed, you dumb sluts.
Now, see, this is what I'm talking about. Extreme. No one is saying that, you dumb idiot. I'm calling you a stupid dumbass, okay? Those ads aren't calling you a dumb slut. That is pretty reasonable advice you would want to give to a child having sex. That there should be some wisdom there. That you should think about the fact that you can get pregnant. And having a child in high school ain't the best idea.
Candies frames having a baby out of wedlock as the ultimate failure. A failure which falls squarely on the girls' and rarely the boys' shoulders.
Well, the answer is actually very obvious why that is. It's because women have the monopoly on sex. And when I say the monopoly, I mean the motherfucking monopoly. The only real way that girls lose their power over who gets to become fathers, who gets to have children, some women even have the power to choose whether or not their fetus even gets to live. The only real way they lose that power is if they get raped. If a woman never gets raped, she has complete control over who becomes a father and who doesn't. That's powerful. And it's not only powerful, but it makes perfect sense that you would try to educate ladies to really think about it since they have that whole uterus thing, since they can create other human beings. It makes sense why it would be that way, Lacey. To act as if this is some form of sexism or bullshit or discrimination, or to act as if this is not reasonable to focus on the people who completely control the sexual market, doesn't really make a lot of sense to me.
They direct a ragey, shamey storm toward teen parents and claim that they'll never succeed. These are stigmas that create more barriers for real-life teen parents every day.
While it's true that never might be a strong word, let's be honest with ourselves, Lacey. A lot of these teen mothers, they don't end up succeeding. And that's not lying to these kids, that's telling them the truth. The truth being, getting pregnant in high school isn't a good idea. And a lot of these people ended up not even finishing high school. That's reasonable advice to tell to a woman or a young lady. Because guess what? Sometimes those mothers don't keep the fathers in their kids' life. Sometimes they just end up straight up leaving.
Sadly, the foundation has multiple megastar headliners, including Carly Rae Jepsen, Fergie, and Hilary Duff. Not gonna lie, that one hit me in the Lizzie McGuire feels. The Candies Foundation also hired abstinence speaker Bristol Palin, Sarah Palin's daughter, to tell students not to have sex because it will ruin their lives.
Now, I don't believe that that was the crux of her speech. Unless you were actually there, Lacey, I wish you would have provided me some evidence that she was actually saying that. I'm sorry, Lacey, I just don't trust much of anything that comes out of your mouth because most of the stuff that comes out of your mouth is either a bold-faced lie or something that makes no fucking sense. So, I don't think Bristol Palin was saying that having sex will ruin your lives. She was probably saying getting pregnant might screw up your lives. And that's different than just having sex and actually getting pregnant with a child that you carry to term. You know, for those of you all who don't think it's your God-given right, your government-given right to kill your children. I mean fetus. I mean fetus. I gotta be politically correct over here.
Speaks all over the country about the importance of not having sex and makes a ton of cash doing it.
Yeah, you think that sounds bad? I mean, Iggy Azalea goes all around the country rapping terrible rap songs and shaking her ass and gets millions of dollars doing it. We all can't have what we want, Lacey. We all can't have what we want. Also, abstinence-only programming is stupid, and you're correct there. But, like I said, today we're going to try to bring some balance to this situation.
Of course, the fact that Bristol is pregnant again is a massive facepalm of hypocrisy, but it also stands as yet another testament to how well abstinence-only programs really work.
You are right, Lacey. Bristol Palin is a hypocrite, but only to a certain extent. And that certain extent is, technically speaking, she was never abstinent, or she was abstinent and then she stopped, considering the fact that she's pregnant again. Which means when the abstinence-only educators asked her to go speak, she had already had a child. Which means really, if we're going to be correct here, she's supposed to be celibate, as in not having sex until she's married, if that's what she's preaching. However, the whole abstinent thing was already out the window because she had a kid. So yeah, she's a hypocrite, technically speaking, but to be fair, she had already had a kid, so you can't really have expected much from her. But she is a hypocrite. And that's disgusting to me. Hypocrisy is incredibly fucking disgusting to me. I don't really understand why she was going around talking about abstinence or celibacy if she wasn't celibate or abstinent. So I'm with you on that one. That is hypocrisy, and it's disgusting. That being said, keep going. I want to show you something very interesting.
And they don't.
Now, on a literal and technical standpoint, that's not true. Technically speaking, it does work 100% of the time. The fact that she got pregnant shows that she wasn't abstinent. If you don't have sex, you have a 100% guarantee you're not going to contract any STD from having sex. Now, yeah, of course, the logic is if you don't drive in a car, you can't get into a car accident. You are right there. However, technically speaking, it kind of goes without saying. No sex, no pregnancy, no STDs. You don't go drive your car around, can't get into a car accident. Logically speaking, it follows. They are correct, and they're not wrong there. The real problem is the fact that kids aren't following the instruction and the advice. And that's really where the focus should be.
It nearly always fails people who need it the most, including Bristol herself. So what the heck, America? We need to face the truth here. There have been basically a quadrillion studies now, all concluding that telling teens not to have sex doesn't work. It doesn't stop the sexy times, it doesn't prevent disease and infection, it doesn't prevent unplanned pregnancy.
Now again, we're hitting a really gigantic disconnect between those two conclusions. The disconnect between those conclusions is the fact that the kids aren't following the instruction. The kids are still having sex. The real problem with the abstinence-only program is the only part. The part where you only tell the kids not to have sex. And you don't actually educate them on what sexuality really is. What it means to want to have sex with another human being. That's foolishness. And I completely agree with you on that one.
In fact, it's the very opposite of abstinence-only education that garners these results.
And here we go again. The zero-sum game I am talking about. The complete opposite. Keep that in mind, because that's going to become really important later in this video.
Comprehensive sex ed increases the age that teens first have sex. It helps prevent disease, sexual assault, and unplanned pregnancy. Access to birth control also plays a vital role here. Colorado made national headlines this week because they've managed to cut unplanned teen pregnancy by 40% in 4 years. Their abortion rate also fell by 42%. What is this wizardry and how did they do it? Well, it's actually pretty simple. They offered free long-acting birth control like the IUD and the implant to teenagers and poor women who wanted them. If Bristol and the Candies Foundation want to end unplanned pregnancy, why are they all about this ish?
Well, the answer is actually pretty simple, Lacey. It's because they don't want them to have sex. You see, the sex ed program that you're talking about, the complete opposite, is encouraging teens to have sex. They don't want them to have sex at a young age or without being married. That's the part where you're missing, okay? You are missing that disconnect. One, the kids aren't actually being abstinent, considering the fact that they're having sex. And two, the fact that the people who are teaching them abstinence-only program do not want them to have sex. Because sex is a powerful thing. It's not something that you should do with a bunch of random people you don't know. That's what these people are trying to tell these kids. And they are doing a piss poor job of doing that.
And that's where it gets real, y'all. Abstinence-only education isn't really about prevention or education. It's definitely not a health campaign. It's an anti-sex campaign, masquerading as a health campaign, which undermines public health.
And see, that's the thing. Sex-positive feminism, or any sex positivity, is not about looking at sex as a great positive thing that you do with somebody you care about. It's about looking at sex as some fun activity that you do with a bunch of people. When really, it shouldn't be. Again, it's the pendulum swinging to the opposite side. It's the pendulum saying that sex positivity is really just promiscuity positivity. And I believe that the more sinister implications of sex positivity isn't about getting women to go out and be super pleasurable, because as you find out, not everybody who is really promiscuous, in the grander scheme of things, or even when they look back on their life, aren't always happy about what they've done. There have been plenty of girls, I've actually seen a couple of videos about this, where they talk about the fact that they were only promiscuous because they were depressed. Some of them will come back and say they weren't depressed, but they aren't proud of what they've done. I've seen lots of men come back from being promiscuous and say they're not really happy about what they've done. They're not really super proud of themselves. Now, of course, this is not everybody. I'm not saying everyone feels that way. But the fact remains that this lifestyle of promiscuity always has somebody coming back saying it's not all it's cracked up to be. The extreme over here is telling people to go out and have a bunch of sex, a bunch of meaningless sex that doesn't mean anything, and they become detached from their relationships from the opposite sex. While the other side over here is saying don't do it at all, feel bad, you are dirty and disgusting if you do it. Two extremes, both trying to manipulate people instead of bringing them closer to the truth, which I will be doing at the end of this video. So keep going, Lacey.
Since the 80s, every political move made by the abstinence-only movement is premised on the idea that sexuality is bad, harmful, and in need of repressing. Abstinence-only proponents do their best to limit access to much-needed information about sexuality and resources for sexual health, information that literally saves lives. They often aggressively target young women and LGBT youth, telling them that their sexuality is wrong, sinful, and shameful. Worst of all, the abstinence-only army is really powerful, and they have a lot of people in high places. Just a couple months ago, Congress allocated $25 million more in funding to fear-based abstinence-only programs. Because, you know, facts, education, I mean, who really needs them?
Alright, well, that's the end of Lacey's video. Now, here's the thing that I don't understand about these proponents on both sides. I don't understand why people like to play zero-sum games. The truth, as I've heard some people say, is oftentimes usually in the middle. And my dad always says the key to life is balance. So when I look at abstinence-only programming, and when I look at sex-positive programming, all I can say is,
¿Por qué no los dos?
no, but seriously, why can't we have both? Why can't we encourage kids that maybe it might be a good idea to not have sex at a young age. However, this is how sex works. Why can't we tell kids, hey, look, listen, sex, it's a great thing, but maybe it's not something you should do with a bunch of people. Maybe it's something you should do with one person. It might be a good idea if you hold out on it and wait until after you've gotten your education and everything. Or maybe it's something that you practice in discretion, or something that you don't go around and tell a bunch of people. Maybe it's something that you do when you find someone you really want to be intimate with. Maybe it's something you only do when you get married. You can teach a kid that. You can treat them like adults and give them the information that they need to actually make reasonable decisions. To demonize abstinence-only programming is manipulation at its finest, alright? It's manipulation because they're making it seem like not having sex isn't an option. It is an option. It's an option they don't want you to have. Because if they did, they would very clearly be saying, let's teach them both. Same thing with demonizing only sex positivity. They're demonizing promiscuity. And in all honesty, any done in excess is a bad thing. So yeah, it kind of makes sense you would demonize having a bunch of sex. Especially for young ladies, because a lot of young ladies do end up becoming deadened to men later in their lives. This does happen. This happens to men too. This happens to people. A lot of people who disconnect the emotion and intimacy from sex later in their lives end up having a difficult time bonding to their husbands and to their wives, because sex doesn't mean the same thing as it did when you first started. Alright, so that whole bubblegum thing or the whole dandelion thing does mean something to these people. It shows that intimacy isn't something that you share with one person, it's something you share with a bunch of people, which kind of defeats the very purpose of the word itself. You can teach a kid how sex works, and you can give them morals and morality, and give them the option to choose what will be the best decision for their lives. You can raise children to be responsible adults, but guess what? That's not the school system's job, that's the parents' job. Parents should talk to their kids and give them these morals and give them these ideas and give them something to strive for. Parents should teach these kids that they have options to choose. And it is absolute foolishness to play the zero-sum game of being promiscuous and not having sex at all. Let's put them together. Give kids the option. Tell them that you have a choice. You choose. It's your life. Having a kid when you're really young, not a good idea. Having a kid without his father around, not a good idea. Women, you should have sex with somebody you think will make a great father. Men, you should have sex with somebody you think will make a great mother. At the end of the day, it's your life and it's your choice. You don't have to listen to me. However, one thing I can promise you guys is anytime you hear a zero-sum game, there's some manipulation going on both sides. So with that being said, man, I certainly hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Certainly hope you guys got something out of it, got something to think about. And if you did, man, go ahead and click that like button. Go ahead and click that subscribe button. Comment in the comments below. And as always, have yourself a great day. I will see you cool cats soon. Adios.